It's about that time, let's get started. And so, I don't have a lot of slides this afternoon, but there's a big agenda. And as always, hey, this is engagement, it's about dialogue, right? So your feedback is absolutely critical. So what I thought I'd do for this one is talk to you about the changes that are going on, right? I think that's probably the most critical or significant thing that I can tell you with full transparency what I know and what we don't know as the changes go on and the prediction of a future environment, best guess. I'll give you a couple of thoughts of mine going forward. I think open discussion, and then try to get some feedback on you of, hey, so we're at as we talk about the change, we're about an inflection point, right? So, Wire and I are getting fired. And so to get the new leadership in here, and the question I think that is open really for debate is, hey, what do we do? Hey, do we do QSC, right? Everything else there. Do we do QSC in the future? Does it give you any value? Yes or no, and or what do we use this time for? This is an expensive meeting, right? It's an expensive meeting of leaders sitting around in a conference room looking at slides. If it is not the best return, or there are better ideas to use leader time, then let's have that discussion. One caveat I would say is it is the answer of, just let me go back to my office or my room, I think, and be left alone. That's the one thing I think we got to avoid going forward. So you can change, call whatever you want. Hey, just a quick review. That if you didn't get to come to all of them, or if you didn't or don't remember, like me, that's what Ron put this up there for, so I can remember. And you see a lot of these, the topics that we're talking about in this forum are focused on you and responsibilities and duties as a supervisor, as a leader. I can call it one, but it's a leader responsibilities, and making sure we're communicating those across the board. Here's my beloved slide. There are tremendous change. We sit here across tremendous change. That's the only thing I can tell you that's going to stay constant across there. So, income under AMC. A full transparency, right? That income change, there's a lot of things that are going to change. General Perna has got responsibilities to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of a new organization. What that looks like is still being worked at the IMCOM, between the IMCOM commander, the AMC commander, and the chief of staff, secretary of the Army. That will have some significant change, though. It will affect our headquarters at both the director level, IDR, as well as IMCOM, and it will affect AMC. It will also affect how we do things in the garrison, right? And so I will tell you that there is a pilot program going on right now with CPAC underneath the garrison. The AFSB and the LRC was recently designated as the S4. The MIC, more than likely. So what you'll see, and depending on how long you've been in the garrison, they used to be like that, but they're going to come back that way. The one caveat that General Perna makes very clear in his message is that it is our responsibility. He sees the responsibility to support senior commanders across the echelon. The other part is the Army, so we're going to change our organization. We're going to make a large organization, and you're going to have a 4-star staff, right? So if it's, as you envision that, there's hundreds of people on General Perna's staff, mostly military, and it will make it is already making it a very different headquarters to work for than the IMCOM staff. Right? The IMCOM staff, in comparison to a 4-star staff, is relatively small, really driven by MDEP managers or the individual directorates. And it's manned and led by a lot of experts really in the civilian spot. So we are, as an IMCOM team, we are really driven by our finances, our MDEP managers. That is not the case underneath this new 4-star headquarters. So that will create some processes change. It will create some work for us to do as we come forward into this 4-star headquarters. It is also in line with the chiefs and your Army's change for the mission set. right? So if you haven't heard the word multi-domain yet, I'll be the first to introduce it to you. But General Perna sees himself now as the commander for the entire Army, responsible for supporting the warfighter from the very beginning. The garrison, Hunter Army Airfield, this piece of dirt we're standing in right now, this building is part of the strategic support area in this new Army concept. And so this new Army concept that General Perna has kind of got the responsibility for starts with right here. How we power project, how we train, more importantly, how resilient are we to attack, or from cyber to you name it, from the ability to project power against a near-peer competitor. That is the change in the Army, right? We have looked at these places as away from contact or conflict, but a new discipline, a new kind of focus for how our Army wants to fight. Is it starts right here. And we will change our posture. We will do things on the cyber side. We will do things for power projection and starts that. And there'll be now a single commander, General Perna, responsible for that. So the acquisition piece, the contracting piece, the deliverance supplies for soldiers at the very front edge of the battle, all underneath one command. It's a big, big slice. It's a really important part of it. Okay, so you've got Army change in terms of how we see the fight. You've got headquarters, significant headquarters change with more of it coming. I would tell you, the only real change you should see is the patch that we're wearing. That's the only thing that's really happened thus far. I would tell you there is probably 95% of change still to come in terms of organizational structure and process. I believe that's well within the next 3 or 4 months. As we get ready to turn this fiscal year, and I expect to see released from the headquarters a lot of changes. One caveat is there's not going to be a lot of input, right? So this is a significant change led at the senior leader level. They have not asked Colonel Dwyer or I or Ernie or Sergeant Major or anybody else for our opinion, just like the patch, right? We're going to get an order and we're going to move out and change it. So there's not much we can do about it besides, like we always do, figure out the best way to get it done and get out. I talked about, Colonel Dwyer and I get fired, Colonel Brian Logan, Colonel Escobar will be here at 1/2. We reorganized DPW, right? Based on the DPW, and I'm working on the DHR and ACS merger right now. Those mergers and those changes have created, I take full responsibility for it. They've created a lot of organizational concern, for lack of a better term, right? Okay, so the one thing I will tell you is, hey look, I promise you, none of those moves or changes are based on trying to reduce people. That is absolutely not the case. And we have about 780 people on our team, period, right? They are not about you. We have 780 people. Those 780 people right now are not in the most important spots that we can need them at. They're not going to be in the most important spots when we get the new set of instructions from General Perna or from General Becker, from anyone else. We have to be able to reprioritize where we, as those 780 people, where that team is putting our resources and effort. It just has to be. Just like the RIF we did last year, right? So that's 54 people that were on that RIF. Of those 54 people, only one person left this organization and that was really other factors and outside control. So no one left that RIF. I would tell you, as we look at the organization changes, that's really the heart of the only way we're going to keep taking care of soldiers and families and doing it with the right people in the right spots. And so that's the message that I expect you as leaders to carry that forward, right? So every time a change comes, normally what happens in the organization is, hey, we dig in, we protect ourselves and our resources, we worry about what's going to happen to us. I promise you, as every director I sit down and talk with, continue this message is the same message from MCOM right now is about, just to paint the picture for you, MCOM right now, how many open slots you think are in MCOM right now? How many unfilled billets? Any guess?
A couple hundred.
2,500. Right? 2,500 slots. What do you think happened a couple weeks ago when General Becker asked the Army General Permit for more people? What would you tell them? Feel what you got first, right? Acting on that business. And just for background, the Army General Perna asked for a couple hundred people to help for this housing crisis, and the Second Army Chief gave them a fourth, less than a fourth of that. And the message across the formation is, hey, we're having a hard time even filling what you have at the income level. You're in no position right now to ask for more people. You combine that with the fiscal reality we're living in right now, hey, there's still a $3 billion bill that the Second Army is looking to sweep back, and so it affects everything, from Cat B programs to how we're resourcing and funding things. The Secretary and the Chief want $3 billion more out of the budget to focus on modernization, and it's just our leaders trying to prioritize. We'll never get ahead of that bandwidth. I do not think the environment that we live in currently, nor do I think in the next couple of years, will we be very successful. Not that I'm not one to ask, I just believe we will not be very successful asking for more people to do things out there. So as I look at the problem set, as we get new responsibilities, there's no question there's things we've got to stop doing, but more importantly, we've got to have a team, 780 strong, that is willing to be more agile than we've probably been in the past, to keep doing right for soldiers and families, right? So, and I stick by my promise. It's the same one I passed to Colonel Logan, Colonel Dwyer. This is absolutely nothing about trying to return authorizations or give people back. That doesn't help us accomplish our job. It's just about making sure the things that we're doing are on the right priority and everyone's pulling as much weight they can. So that may mean, unlike previous times, that you can pick a track and kind of work in a part of the garrison or on the Stewart or Hunter for 30 years, take 40, 50 years, and do one thing. I would submit to you that is my opinion. That environment is over. You may run through a couple of positions or PDs or changes to PDs, but that PD, the message that has to be delivered, what you have to help enforce is building that capacity, that agility in our workforce to be able to do more than one thing. Or change jobs based on what is the demand signal right now for the Army. You've been here longer than I have. You see the Army. You see what's important change going over the top. The last thing we can afford to do is give up talent that has been taking care of soldiers and families for 20, 30 years, grown up around Hunter or Fort Stewart. And that's the talent we got to manage. What PD you wear, what directorate you work in is will be even more less important, I think, going forward. So I think that's the feedback I get, right? So I'll tell you the feedback for the DPW one has been personal testimony and sensing sessions, pretty good, right? In fact, 90% positive in terms of, hey, the change has got me to see some new people and look at that. No one went home from that reorganization. No one's going to go home from the DHR, ACS reorganization, those slots. Those people are not going home. Where they work or what they do has to change as we go forward. Any questions on that? It's a lot, right? There's a lot of change, a lot of stuff we don't control. But it's really my intent to kind of describe what I think the current environment is, the future, where we get funding and resources. Because the alternative, right, that's what I struggle with is, hey, I firmly believe the answers sit here on how to do things. The opposite, the other alternative that we have is to continue to hold what we got, stay in our holes and protect what we got and continue on making cuts, because I'll tell you, the way that we get cuts sent down to us, right, they call them tranches, is an email. It's an email from INCOM to IDR and says, hey, you owe me X amount of slots, we need your answer in 7 business days, and you've got to brief the senior commander. It is not effective. It is what's produced a garrison that's got maybe still a little too top heavy on supervisors and not enough employees, or supervisors in the wrong spot, and we're getting a giant kerfuffle of moving people around and concerned about.
Sir, one of the things that we talked about this morning was, and absolutely we understand across the board that changes from the merger will happen and get pushed down to us. But one of the things, and we've talked about it before, and we talked about it as a group this morning, is to the extent possible, being the subject matter experts on the ground that everybody in the room is to try to drive and influence that change by making and looking for efficiencies and finding those and then pushing them up, and that way we can shape the environment that we're going to live in the future.
Yeah, it's a great point, and that's what I hope for, right? And so, hey, look, I'm gonna be frank with you. As we look at it, we have the conversations, I share a story with you, right? So as we started about a year plus ago with knowing we're gonna have cuts, 54 people. First meeting, our leadership sitting at the table, all of our directors sitting at the table. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, here's our problem statement. We got to figure out where we're going to give that back or how we reshape this organization. Who's got any ideas or who's got some spots that we can change or transition? How many ideas or hands went up? How many? Zero. I was so frustrated, I stopped the meeting, went back and gave them kind of some homework, came back and rekeyed the next meeting. Hey, come back to me next time. If you maybe didn't get the message, come back to me next time. Hey, we have a problem. You know better. Help me solve this problem. Same thing, right? So, hey, me, the deputy, the resource manager, in a small group session, did what we thought the best was for the organization, with the goal always of maintaining talent. And so as you go back and you talk to the teams and you do your responsibilities as leaders, Colonel Dwyer, Tim's exactly right. Hey, I plead you to tell me what we need to change. And because the only way it's happening right now is, pounding the table and forcing it, just based on what the future is going to look like. And so as you look at your organization, you as leaders, you have full authority, and I expect you to come up with ideas for recommended changes, right? And you will never go wrong if you're improving hey, this will make us better at taking care of soldiers and families. And there'll be things you say, hey, we shouldn't do this. But if it's making us better on soldiers and families, if you stay focused on that, nothing will be wrong. And that will help us far better than me with a bunch of TDAs and a bunch of org structures and trying to think through them. So I would ask, Kevin's exactly right. Hey, and if you see that, right, just as the DPW one, that one's pretty much done. It's open for change again, right? It's a continuous spot. The DHR, ACS, we're right in the heart of that change right now. And so, hey, I just talk about process, right? And so, hey, change is hard, especially for us. And the longer you're here, change is hard. So I did a Tiger team of a bunch of leaders and people from both those organizations. They gave me a solution. Just last week, yesterday I had a meeting with Mr. Lukens and Tom Loman. I've had a couple with them of, hey, here's what that team came back with it, and now they are habit for interaction, and they're supposed to be engaging you across the board. So I am indifferent to the end state. I have no goal in mind for what the final organization looks like, other than, hey, we got some requirements to change. We got to figure out how we do it better and do it better together.
I would be interested to see what the ACS merger is, because the first output that they had basically reduced Hunter basically to about 2 people, the oversight of the GS9 and the HR. So
Yep.
It's no longer.
it's no longer that, it's
We
now,
got 5 back.
we got 5 back.
And
In
so,
total, 12.
right? So, hey, look, it goes back to, I agree, right? Everyone's got a spot in it, and hey, look, if it makes us better for soldiers and families, if you stay focused on your higher headquarters mission, taking care of soldiers and families, then we're going to be all right. And so there's no table slapping. I haven't done it yet, right? And so and part of this is an even move, right? And so I think the same conversation we had here at Hunter, we're going to try the same thing with Stewart is, hey, what is the best for our soldiers and families? Yesterday, no kidding, I walked out back of the headquarters trying to get ready to go to a meeting, stopped by a lady with 2 children in tow. Her husband is still deployed. She is stationed at Hunter Army Air Field, doesn't even know what unit. She had 2 kids in tow and a bunch of documents to try to fill out to get fingerprints done for all her kids, so she could go back to CYS in a different location than when she started, in a different post than where she started, to get things done, right? And so, hey, I got a brand new spouse from overseas, husband still deployed, bouncing all over this southeast Georgia, trying to get her children enrolled in the CDC. We can do better, right? We got to do better than that. And so that's really the context of the DHR-ACS merger is part location and part process. So we build some some better results for our families. But that's just one. You know better than I do. When you show up every day to work, hey, there's all kinds of things that we can do a little bit better. But it takes a desire, it takes leaders, it takes you thinking through that and making recommendations. And if you're getting pushed back from anyone along the way and it's a good idea, don't give up. All right, send me a note, send Colonel Dwight, send Ernie a note, send someone a note that you got some ideas for change. If we don't do it ourselves, we're going to get told in an order what to give up, and everyone will be happy. I missed this one, right? The Trons will come out, I'll send an order out, and I'll say, hey, this is what we're going to look like. Because every year I'm writing a new TD8. If you don't know, like every year, Commander writes the TD8, and I'm influencing the next year. Every year that's happened. And so, hey, you wiping the sweat off your brow that you missed this year, it's not helping, right? Because everyone tries to duck down and say, I didn't get this year. I'm telling you, it will eventually come your way. And it's far better if we tell them what we're going to do.
I have a question on
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
So a lot of the DHRACS, so we have a lot of programs where Forest Steward and Hunter are combined in our reporting of how many people we serve. And then we have others where Forest Steward is separated from Hunter. And so the numbers for Hunter were never looked at. And so that's where I came to the leadership here and said, hey, we have this, 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 and this. And here's our numbers, here's what I think we can do, here's what I think we need. It kind of fell on deaf ears. Because they don't have access to the data that we have, that I try to share, but it's kind of that, sometimes we're one, sometimes we're not one. And it's
So
how do we?
Yeah, we're one, period, right? And so look, if for the things that count, money and people, they see us as one, right? And so, hey, there are data systems run by many places and many stovepipes that will break it out by two. And we are one organization. We are challenged as one organization by having two discrete communities separated by enough distance that you don't get a lot of ability to take advantage. For daily activities, we are separated enough and our communities are different enough that I can't have one person driving back and forth every day, right? And so that's an argument for senior leaders to have with our headquarters. It should, and sometimes does, maybe not enough, but it should affect our overall manning because we have to run two discrete outposts, if you will, across the board. How we do that, what we do is really the heart of the discussion, right? And so, in the funding or authorizations or the demand signal, that's where I ask Rebel. If there are things that we're not accounting for, giving ourselves credit for servicing soldiers and families because of a data point, then just send it to me. I'll make sure, but there's no question about it. But if you look at the funding and the manning and the discussions that we have every day, whether you're talking about MILCON or organizational functions, we are going to be able to do both locations.
We also need to look internally at the airfield. The airfield has responsibility, of course, to be the direction platform. But on our installation, UPTMS does a lot of functions for getting aircraft out. While other installations have the logistics readiness doing those particular functions. So I don't know if we'll ever get to an enterprise solution, but internally, we can go ahead and kind of decide how we're going to go ahead and do that function-wise so we can go ahead and get more efficient. So, Rick, help me out.
Well, and the reason it's that way is because it was an efficiency that was done years ago during an A-76 study.
My favorite term.
They did a most efficient organization, you know, where you have to basically, the organization bids for your jobs and
Yes,
gets contractors. So as a part of that, and deployment ops used to be part of the airfield, believe it or not, as our organization. We cross-trained our people that park aircraft and bring out stair sets and ground power units to also operate MHE as an efficiency. So the PDs were written that way, and we've been doing it that way ever since, whereas almost every other place, LRC does.
Yeah.
Now, if LRC has to do it, they're gonna need more bodies. It's gonna cost more, it's gonna cost more people. The way we're doing it's probably more efficient, but in MCOM's eyes, you're crossing MDEVs.
And so, and there's some issues, and what Ernie brought up is a great point, right? Hey, look, I implore you, the answer is we gotta continue to do exactly what Rick says. Hey, cross-train, look at how you build, it builds resiliency for our own workforce. Hey, if I have an employee that can do multiple things, I'm telling you, that gives us great resiliency as a team. 780 people that can do more than one thing is a far better team, right? And so don't change that. Figuring out how we're gonna do it, and Ernie and I had some conversation about it yesterday, is important, right? Hey, what is the best way to run the power projection readiness building that we do here? We're also gonna be struggling, and we'll get frustrated, you just gotta keep staying and keep communicating. Hey, but as we do the changes for what we say is the best answer, just know we're gonna run into contact with changes that are happening at the enterprise level, right? Because everyone sits in a different seat, looking at it different. I believe, kind of what Ernie alluded to, is as General Perna, it will be a year before he really understands what he just bought here with IMCOM, says, hey, look, how am I going to do this strategic support area for the warfighters? How do I run airfields, RMAs, rails? Do I do that in their LFC? Do I slide those functions around yet? We're still very much in the understanding phase, right? As he tries to understand and then describe and visualize for everyone what's going on. I think that's the only caveat, and Ernie's exactly right, but that's the part I'm most concerned about is that we're driving organizational change to improve ourselves, and we're going to run into full headlong some change that someone else thinks is high. It'll be okay. We still got to do it. It does not mean we should not change and just wait for directions from headquarters. We're just going to have to know that when it comes, we'll have to work through, hey, what do they think they want? What are we doing? And how do we bridge that gap? It should not slow down, our thoughts. And I go back to square one. Hey, look, the best way to do business sits in the minds of people sitting around this table, right? I mean, look, no one at any headquarters in San Antonio or at Aberdeen or anywhere else, or a 4-star set of PowerPoints knows the intricate details every day of what it takes to know people out, take care of soldiers' families, how much time, or understands our customers better here. Now, that's part of them always working with an enterprise to get to a solution. And so it's a great lead-in. All right, for just a couple of thoughts. I try to prioritize and talking through. Hey, this is one, after 2 years, I would say, hey, this is one we can do better at, right? And so I think it remains critical going forward. I think it's the spot that I see the most friction and arguments at my level and amongst our team when we stop communicating, right? When we stop sharing, and we try to run independent, because it can become we versus they at the division level, at the directorate level, garrison to garrison, because resources are currently tight and will remain tight. The natural tendency is to try to hunker down, protect what you got, and try to get more resources. And that will fail. All right, so challenges, ideas, good ideas, thoughts, challenges, and the key piece is you got to communicate. You got to communicate with your employees. I expect you to. I expect you to communicate inside of here and share those good ideas to drive the organization. If we fail in this task, which is hard, right? Everyone wants to hear it a little differently. It's not a town hall once every 6 months. It's not emails. I would tell you, you got to sit down and talk to people. If you do a stand-up, if you do a dockside, if you just do it in the office sitting around lunch, but if you're not communicating about what's going on, you're in a hurry to break out of here at 4 o'clock just to worry about something else, it will continue to be frustrated by lack of communication and challenges. You got to take time. You owe it to your employees. They don't know what's going on unless you tell them. In the enterprise, it's not good. There's no email distribution. There's no website or running TV ad that describes the changes that are going on in the organization, right? So you got to seek out information and you got to make sure you're broadcasting. It is hard, right? Hey, so I get an email about every week or every week of priorities, right? And so they send this list out. It's all the IMCOM priorities. And what I would tell you is I still struggle to keep up with what the focus is, what the priorities, right? For a while, and I'm still not sure. And I'll just be honest, right? Housing. I'm getting ready to do town hall here yesterday, and we want to do tonight at Fort Stewart. We got tons of resources committed to housing. It's a crisis, you know, at the Army level. I was in a meeting last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, and General Becker told me the #1 priority for IMCOM is FSMA compliance. What's FSMA compliance? Exactly, right? So I sat there and I was like, what? I'm working on housing, but hey, FSMA compliance. Hey, FSMA compliance is making sure, if we're not FSMA compliant by the end of July, Cyber Command is going to shut up, take all our systems down, right? So FSMA compliance is making sure that what we use to communicate, what monitors our wells and everything else is all connected. And so my only point is, if you look across IMCOM top ones, we talk these all the time, right? And so and we talk infrastructure, protection, supporting, talk training, and I get a bunch of current focus areas, emerging focus areas, key upcoming decisions, and that comes out like every week, and it's different every time. It is hard to keep up, right? Hey, look, again, you gotta have a focus. Take care of soldier families. You're getting better at that every day. We'll stay at it, right? So sometimes it means improving the process for power projection, making sure the airfield is good. Sometimes it means improving how we do childcare or how we onboard a family and their soldier. Those things, those core competencies that are focused on taking care of soldier families have to be what we talk about. We will not keep up. I can't keep up. I can't send you this slide. And that's my problem for information versus communicating and providing priorities. I can send everyone in the 780 people, I can send you that slide every day or every week when it comes out. What would you do with it? We don't move that fast. I can't change that fast. Yeah, you roll it up and like, hey, thanks for nothing. You would stop reading it after about 2 weeks, right? And I'd still try to read it and figure out something out there. Without a discussion, without communication, it's just noise, right? It's just a list. I can't do much with it. So hey, what it does describe to me though is the state of our headquarters, right? Look, the state of the headquarters, there's a lot of anxiety, way more than down here, and rightfully so, about their future, about how they interact with AMC, whole new processes, and they are moving very rapidly from event to event, trying to do the right thing for us. Just know that it is busy. I'm not saying any headquarters is evil, right? Everyone above you is always trying to get you or looking out for it. It's not the case. They're trying to do what they think is right. There's just a lot of things going on right now. Number 2. Hey, so as I look at the future, kind of describe it to you, communication, second one, invest in our team. 780 people, we've had the discussion already. I will continue to spend money. I expect you as supervisors to drive this process. If you don't send someone because you can't afford it, then we're going to have a discussion. That's the right person to send. If it hurts, you got to work a little bit harder because that person's not here, you're doing the right thing. My expectations, right? You wear the title of supervisor leader for a reason, and so those conversations of, hey, what are we doing? That's got to drive us. There's 700 people, 80 people who talk about being able to do other things, having multiple skill sets, cross-training, as Rick said, and we got to drive that process. So that no matter what we do, that you can survive the next tranche cut, because I can put you in another place, and we're driving through the process. And there we go. We're getting better. I would still say, that we got there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for us that we're still missing to take advantage of for additional training. And if we are not hammering this as supervisors, if you're not wearing out your boss about what training can I look at, where can I cross-train someone, what other skill sets can I give someone, you're missing becoming your duties as a leader. Hey, as I look at the third point here, this one is a J. Walter observation. Right? And as I look, we're going to provide some feedback. The deputy's going to kind of look at all the last set of depot maps we're going to close out here. But we, as a team, are a little bit uncomfortable saying, look, man, you're not cutting, right? I got to get more out of you. You got to do something different, right? The default for us is we made mission. Everyone's doing great. Let's just get on with it. Give your time off and award your boss for it. We as leaders, all of us, we got to be a little bit better at sitting someone down and saying, look, here's what you missed, right? It's not intended to hurt you financially. It's intended to make you better. I think we got some work we gotta do to be comfortable with those conversations. It goes back to the first story I told about all the directors sitting around. Hey, we got a problem with 54 people and everyone trying to be, kind of be quiet. As you sit here as a supervisor wearing that set of responsibility, hey, honest feedback, everyone deserves it. People that we want, people that count, appreciate that spot. It's just about our ability to have that conversation and not avoid it, right? Because I'll tell you, it snowballs. I see it play out in a bunch of other problem sets that get rolled up if we don't start with just an honest conversation of, here's where you are, and this is what I think we need to work on to get better. Comfortable with risk. And that's the fourth and last point I talked about. Right? So, it's our ability to communicate, educate our workforce, our ability to have tough conversations. The kind of the last point I'll leave with you as we look at the future and what we're going to go forward is comfortable taking risk. If you remain risk averse, and then some are, some aren't. But there is no golden egg. There's nothing. We're not going to wait this out until a new budget gets approved. You can look at the POM for the next 8 years, and I'm telling you, it will take us that long to try to modernize if we are successful. The Army's tried to modernize a bunch of times, and there's no guarantee we'll be successful this time. But I can tell you that that's where they're going to put their money. If you look at the POM cycle, that's where all the money is going to go. So our environment will not change. There's no waiting this out for another NDA approval to rebuild what we've lost. There's no one coming with a magic spoon full of cash or more people. And so we've got to be willing to take risks, right? As long as we have conversations as leaders, hey, look, sir, I'm not doing this, or I'm going to do this a little less or a little differently, and this is the risk we're taking. Here's the benefit to it. Unless we get comfortable taking that risk, at your level, at the garrison level, and communicating, having conversations. That's what leaders do, right? We can't do everything. Leaders have conversations about priorities and where we're taking risks. If you're not having those with your team, I would say we're probably missing something. You got to be able to push it a little bit. You got to be a little bit comfortable with risk. It's playing out in every director. It's playing out with the Army. Okay, we're taking risk. I read, I sent to the directors last week the POM narrative. The POM narrative, you know what the POM narrative is, sir? Program, right? So when the Army budgeted, they budget over a 4-year period. They have to describe to a whole bunch of different stakeholders how we're spending our money. And they do that in the POM, right? And that's a 4-year plan of where we're spending money. And I'll tell you, the Army's narrative, inside of there, they put, hey, we're going to take $50 million from environmental. And this is about, but honestly, I can't. We're going to take $50 million from environmental. We, as the Army, accept the fact that we may get dinged for a couple more state or federal level violations on environmental. But right in that discussion, same paragraph, they said this is where we're going to take risks. They said they describe this not as a cut, but as a right size. You can read that however you want, right? It's a cut. We're taking risk. The only thing I would disagree with is describing what it is. Hey, it's a cut to focus on modernization. We're taking risk because we can't afford to do everything. And so it's happening at the Army level. It's going to happen across every program, right? And so the only thing I can do is send that to Tom Fry, who runs environmental for us, and say, hey, look, how we're currently funded, it's not going to be that. That $50 million at the Army equates to a decent size of money at Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. We're going to have to do something or not do something and equate that back to risk. All right, questions? Questions on the thoughts that we kind of rolled out here, the environment or the future?
You know, we have really captured the annual work plan back as a garrison, is what we do. I think that we've been able to go ahead and kind of assert where we're going to spend our money based on priorities as we go forward. As we recapture IJOs and those type of things, I think that we should have an opportunity to talk about the IJOs that we can afford with supervisors, say know exactly kind of where their particular project or what they're asking for, whether it's just a pipe dream or it's just or is it reality, and seeing how we can go ahead and do that so that the supervisors can assume some risk in their own organization before they get some type of IGO completed or something like that. But they can go ahead and start looking at the IJO, how it's going to affect their organization. And I think that the QSE should start incorporating that to be able to go ahead and look at it. I think that everybody needs to see what the airfield, where we're spending our money. I think that everybody needs to see if we're going to spending money on roofs, things like that. Because a lot of folks go ahead and they submit all these IJOs thinking it's automatically going to happen. Well, it's not going to automatically happen, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, this may be a good forum for the supervisors and the leaders on Hunter to go ahead and voice their need to do that. So whenever we carry it forward as annual work plan or projects, something like that, we can really get that captured on it, and then we can go ahead and give positive input.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be times that the leadership has got to make a decision. Hey, we just can't afford to go ahead and put in X, Y, and Z, but yet the supervisor, the boss at that location says, I need to have this.
Yeah, and so I think it's a great point, right? And so it's a good catch for Robin. It's really about communicating, right? So step one is and understanding where we are as an organization with our money, right? And so I don't know if we want to make sausage in a meeting like this, but I think Ernie going to say, hey, I should be able, and I have a great document, right? I get one every week, a printout of FY20 emerging requirements that come from all the units and from our team. We got a pretty solid list of 19, we have a hard list of 19. It's just about how far we're going to make it down that list. But we can absolutely send that back to you so you can see actually and share it with you so you see on a recurring basis, at least QSC to raise things up here. But hey, that is never intended to be opaque or hidden from you. In fact, building some understanding of really how much money we got and where it's going will help build some help, I think, for the culture. I think it's a good idea.
And I'm totally okay here on the Hunter side. Of course, we'll see if Dave Escobar, I'm sure he'll be okay with it too, is we have plenty of room in the VTC when we run that AWP meeting. If we have supervisors, the directorate leads from Hunter want to come sit in on that AWP meeting and kind of see how that process works and how we determine where the money where it goes and what gets done. I would absolutely invite the leads on Hunter to come to that meeting and just kind of see that process, right? I mean, I think that would be beneficial to everybody.
And use the timeline, the hardest, just for maybe help us get away from the problem we have, right? So up to about 6 months ago, we had 30,000 plus open work orders. We are never going to get to those things, right? So hey, we just took the oldest ones and Z'd them out, right? It's just the people who put those in aren't even on this installation anymore. And so and before we get that again, and it's the timeline, understand, right? Projects, there's a lot of stuff that starts a project, you get it through, you get it awarded, and get it finished. And quite honestly, right now, we're talking about $20, right? Here in a month or so, we'll slap the table on what the thing for 20 list is, just to get it queued up fast enough and put it through the contracting command, to get it awarded to a company, to bring contractors out here or someone else out here to actually do the work. So, it's a great point. What else? What else about QSE? That's really the discussion, right? And I'll open it up to really anything, right? And so,
I know DP Map is where it's just changing out reading cycles, but across the line as supervisors, it's all over the place.
it is.
And I spent about a week digging into handbooks and asking, networking with other installations, saying, hey, what do your standards and elements look like? And it is from here to there. And so maybe something for at least as an installation, we can be on the same page. Because I learned a lot in reaching out to a lot of people. And, they wanted to, my staff wanted to keep it in this bullet format. And I'm like, great, but how does that meet the mission of, we're supposed to tie it into the mission of the organization and showing how every employee is part of that mission. And so, this junk that they had on there about turning in if you turn in a report 2 days early, I'm like, great, but what's the impact? So what's the so what? And so I think just sharing of, hey, what works, you know, what is, you know, let's give some meat to this. If it's gonna be the process,
That's a great point, right? So I think process, what else I heard there, Robin, is sharing best practice, right? So I'm comfortable sharing other good write-ups or good metrics to assess, and that's part of the problem. And so I gave the, you know, the deputy, just so you know, the deputy's gonna poll up, right? We've got super users and DPM, he's gonna poll up kind of the rating tendencies of all of us, right? And so we're gonna share that in a subsequent QSE of, hey, look, here's what we look like. It's my responsibility to make sure that the director and supervisor level, we see, hey, you know what? Hey, DPW, everyone is perfect. In DPTMS, everyone is horrible, right? That cannot be true, right? So at every level, I think the conversation or the description you described is absolutely the right answer. Tell my time, help in my higher headquarters, what is this, so what? It's got to be that way so that when we can have those hard conversations. But hey, we owe you feedback after we get through this spot. And if this tool is going to work, we spend a lot of money as an organization, a lot of time, a lot of energy to reset how we do evaluations, right? If you've been around for tapes, you've been around for NSPS, we're dealt with Rumsfeld, right? And hey, everyone's got different opinions, but they all try to do the same thing. How do I make sure? It gets down to one simple thing, right? How do I recognize excellence? How do I improve the overall formation? How do I reward and honestly have conversations? Everyone at this table is not the same. When you get to any group, hey, you can break that group into actually really great performers, some rooms that probably should not really figure something else out, and then everyone else is doing their thing. The problem we have in our organization, because of all the system stuff, is quite honestly, when you take those 5 people, what history would tell you is we're just all rated the same, and we kind of all give them equal bonuses and all time off awards because it's just too hard. Right? And all that does is hurt us, right? It's too hard for me to tell you, I don't want to tell you that you're good, you're not so good, you're the best. I don't want to do that. And so,
I don't think it's necessarily that either. There's a lot of times you're not comparing apples to apples.
Fair.
Somebody's doing one job and they're doing, you know, they're a 4, and this person's doing their job, and they're doing a 5, but there's no way they can do the other person's job. It just doesn't seem like a lot of times it compares it. Or when you have an organization like Airfield or Flight Sims where the people that you have, they're all rocket scientists. They're all that way. So it's really hard to pull one person out above another one.
I agree, but I'm holding you accountable to do it. And it's the same route, right? So hey, sometimes the level of expertise from someone, hey, I got a forester out there and I got an engineer with 1,000 certificates. Hey, that's what supervisors got to do though, is look, we hired you to do this. Once we get you in, and these are your positions, now it's about, and I think you guys both are organization, they laying out metrics to get to performance. Because the part that happens that impacts us the most on the backside of this for supervisors is the minute I say, hey, you're all great, we all got the same thing. Hey, you know amongst yourselves, right? Someone's like, I've been here every day working out, I put extra time in, I'm the guy here on Saturday, I'm the girl here on Sunday, I'm up early, why am I doing this, right? Because hey, Walter got the same thing that I did, and he hasn't been here in months, right? And so, hey, you know, I can't know, I know at my level for drug, I know who is committed and a servant leader to take care of soldiers and families, who's trying to get better, who's communicating, and those are hard conversations, you know, but the impact of not being honest with people, it sets a new standard, and the new standard is, look, this is what I got to do to get that, I'm good, right? And it's not driving the right culture. What else? What else for QSE? Should we do QSE? Should we cancel QSE? Should we change it? Is it worth your time?
I think it can be valuable. I think like with all the change that's going on right now, letting us know about things that are coming down from Hunter that we may not have visibility on. I find that useful personally to know what's going on. I like that.
I think it's just what you've covered so far has been very valuable.
Some of the other topics can be, some are better than others. But in general, I think it's good as long as it's good, something valuable coming out of each one of them. Like I said, information is always good. Some of the classes are a little less dynamic than others sometimes.
Yeah. Roger, hey, so that's good feedback, and I think, hey, Robert, so that's the challenge, I think, is, hey, getting out ahead of enough time. So some of them should come from us, like, hey, we see this, and this is going on, and some of them, we gotta get surveys and data out for you, to say, hey, look, as a supervisor, I want someone to help me see myself across everyone else and bottom-up feedback, so, and then make
So
sure
when
we
I'm
push.
sending you the surveys, no whining about the surveys. Do the surveys, because that helps me help the commander offer you something that is dynamic and that is useful, hopefully, in your day-to-day job, because that's the whole goal of this.
Yep, paying the surveys, right?
Maybe send it in the form of a music video or something.
Y'all do not want me to do that.
So,
When you're talking about change and this rapid change that's coming down and how we're having to reorganize and do things better. I mean, you need the communication process to continue as that change is going, so we can all adjust and know what the guidance is required coming down, and know how we can adjust at our level to support the overall mission and the multi-domain issue. The Army's changing the way it's operating. We're looking at a bigger picture. Things are changing all around, and we don't necessarily, in our lane, see all those changes. But we need to know it as supervisors, and we need to hear it from you, so we know what your priorities are, so we can implement them at our level. So I would definitely say we have to keep it. At some point, we may not need to do it quarterly, we may have to do it more often.
yeah.
At times, depending on what's coming down.
No,
Yeah.
but it's good, right? It doesn't have to be so much you, Robin, but.
Not more.
No, he's actually on,
Yeah,
right?
no, you could have it 2 months in a row and not have it for 6 months.
Right.
But depending on what the change is that's happening at that time.
Yeah.
In other words, there's something late breaking that's coming out right now. We need to get the supervisors together and tell them right now, not wait 3 months or until the next quarter. Just put it out and let everybody implement it.
Yeah, I agree, and agility in that, I think that's, what you described, I think is probably within the 90% interval of straight on. As you look at the income, we're gonna get an order from AMC. I guarantee it's gonna be ordered, and there's gonna be some effective dates. I can almost see the order now, and it's gonna say, hey, no later than this date, these headquarters are going to this Manning, or they're gonna move, and these are gonna stop working. And on this date, you're gonna start sending funding requests to here and out there. That is, as you described, sir, a flash group together so that at least you know it, right? Because it will take us time to generate an order, but at least inside that discussion of, hey, we just got the order, here's what we think first assessment, and I need you to read it at your level because, hey, we will be better. If I take the order and try to process it through DPTMS and send it to you, it'll be cut and paste and it'll be a combination. You'll know better what the impact is and what we should be thinking about come up with. So I agree. It's a great point. It's everybody, right? So as you look over here, Tommy, I mean, Cat Bs are a category of funding for MWR that has been funded by the Army. And the Army Chief of Staff funded it. And he's broadcast his funding. At the IMCOM level, they took that money back and said, hey, figure out how to do it without this funding. They did that. We've been playing with that for a couple months now until just late breaking last couple of days, hey, we put that on a 90-day pause, right? Because there's a disconnect between the chief says, hey, I don't want to tell anyone that I am reducing soldier and family programs, or I'm reducing MWR activities, or I'm reducing environmental. I don't want to broadcast that out message-wise, but I want you to give me $3 billion back. The two don't add up. It's got to come from somewhere. And our ability to communicate that and stay agile enough not to get, the worst thing we can do is not change. The worst thing we can do is get cut and realize 6 months afterwards, what are we doing? Right? Housing is a perfect example. Housing used to have dozens of people in it. It's how we took care of families. We would have cut it down to what we have in there, I think 4 or 5 people in that organization. And so now I'm task organized across all of the directors to give me enough people to do what the Army is asking us to do. Let's try not to do any harm.
Another issue I think is a big issue is administrative requirements. Stuff that comes down, it creates administrative requirements for supervisors. A lot of these cuts we've had, we've lost admin people.
Yes, sir.
So that admin is taking place at the supervisor level quite a bit now. So when we come out with a new program that creates additional admin requirements that really aren't helping us that much, it hurts.
Good.
Takes it out of our hide.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? And I struggle with that, and that is fundamental. That's one we gotta put a group against, Robin, because, hey, I don't know what the right answer is, right? And so, I can't afford to have supervisors not being leaders and doing leader things. The world, the galaxy, is trying to get everyone to be online and send up and do their homework for them on the computer, right? And so at every echelon, I am filling out reports and doing things to feed this beast of a machine on the internet. There's no question about it. How that affects us as an organization is, I don't know, is it better to consolidate admin functions at the director level and not have division chiefs do it? Is it better to bring it to Garrison and not push that responsibility down at all? And there's more thought go across the right. So I'm trying in DPW, just so everyone knows right now, division chiefs started squawking at me, but they all had their own admin secretaries and people that were doing their TDY form or filling out the DPMAT form. I moved it up to the director level to see what kind of, again, to take some risk to experiment, but I think that's true across the board. When you look at the 780 authorizations, everyone having their own admin assistant,
We don't.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
We haven't had one in there for a little bit.
But I know, exactly, and I would tell you, like, across the board, and that's why I would say, the message back, maybe totally forget that conversation with the deputy, the message back is, right now, in this garrison, it depends where you are, what you have. Some have fought to keep them, and have a lot, at all echelons, some got rid of them, don't have any of them, and so, the short answer is, you're working harder, doing it yourself than I know a couple other directors are, because they still have them. But that's not an acceptable answer. We need a plan. That's a great point. What else?
We're wrapping up.
You tell me I'm out of time?
I'm
I got
telling you
much
that your
time as I
hour is
want.
up. You do have as much time, but you better
Hey,
react.
other comments? I'll stop talking.
So I heard there was some ACOE money for training.
Well, I don't know if it's for training, but we got
Oh,
ACOE money.
okay, so the way I heard it was, hey, we have some that we could use for training employees. And one of the things that we see, and we did it a little bit with reintegration, where the briefers weren't top-notch briefers. And so we put together a reintegration, and I have a lot of staff that are master trainers, and that's kind of what we do. But bringing somebody in from the outside, like the world-renowned trainer, briefer, how to get your message across, I think would be beneficial for us. And also, so we have 5 generations in the workforce who are our customers as well. And they all have different needs. And sometimes, as let's face it, we are going to continually have an aging workforce of civilians, and we need to learn how to work with those 5 generations. And we have these new generations Z that think completely different than we do. But maybe how do we work with all those generations and how to communicate to them? Yeah, because I think some of those ICE comments that we get all the time are a lack of knowing how to communicate to them, because we don't want to change how we communicate, but
Right?
we have to.
I think, yes to all. $100,000 is out there, right? It used to be $1 million for ACOE. Since we won the last, 7 times, the only one, they take everything else. Budget cuts are hard, right? It's $100 grand. $100 grand does not get you much anymore, right? I can't buy much. But I've been asking, I'll ask this august body, if you got something that is good, that impacts this team, the community, that we should spend that $100,000 on something. And again, back to point 2, training our team, making our team better is an absolutely critical point for doing that. Otherwise, I'll end up buying a bunch of toner cartridges and then
And don't think I didn't submit a lot of training on that list. I'm just sorry.
I think we have we know how to do that by PowerPoint, and that doesn't work. And, then we knock our heads together and come up with great events. They still don't work because people don't come, because That's not what they want. And so finding out what they want.
Surveys. Just
Then they
saying.
don't fill out because they don't do surveys. But if you do a, hey, do you like this or this, let me pick, I don't know what that website is, like, I see girls in the backseat of the car going, oh, do you like this or this? And they choose it and they can figure out what you want, but I don't know how to come up with an answer.
Because we're in our own generation.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, what else? Other ideas or thoughts as we close this out? So, Major, Ernie, anything?
I'll take about 20,000 of that money for our fall, Hunter Fall, fest that we're gonna go ahead and put together so we can include all of the months. We can have free hot dogs and goats and put the entire garrison together so we can do that, so 15 grand should cover it.
And then from 20 to 15, we'll keep talking, we'll get down to 5. And, no, hey, I think that's good. Anything else as we close out this QSE other than a funding request? It's good, eh? Look, I'm not knocking it. It's good.
I got one question, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of us, you know, like you said, so much of our stuff's online now, we gotta do everything online, but I don't know about you guys, my computer doesn't, half the time I can't get online, I can't.
It's like this
Where are we
morning,
going on
DP
that?
minutes.
Hey, yeah, so.
Facebook.
Great point, absolutely valid. A couple of things just for city background. We just finished the second bank loop with the NEC, right? So it's one I've been working with Kathy Walton, who runs the NEC, the regional NEC, for a long time here since we've been here. That second loop just finished. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the first loop that we were only on before was out for 3 days and no one noticed. So we're still working through the switching and I'm gonna stop talking because it's about my skill level. We're still working through the final parts for that, and that has impacted responsiveness of the IPs on the hardware, but we do now have a second fiber connection that gives us resiliency at both locations. Break. The DP map is a hot mess, and so now, past the pipe, the things that we're struggling with are when we make enterprise solutions and we run them, 90%, so we send that feedback up on DPMAP and keep telling me ones like that because we'll send them up. What has happened is DPMAP has sat idle for a majority of the time and it never got load tested. As we all got close to crunch time this period, this was the first time that we really put the load on it that it's got to be able to handle, and we crushed it. And that is the truth, right? And so, hey, what I've heard is, hey, they're replicating servers, they're putting them in different geographical locations in the country so that you can get access, and adding stacks to the server sets. It allows more access and users, but it's across the board. And I struggle with it too because it's the housing crisis that I have a requirement to feed the IMCOM database on a daily basis, and that thing is down more than it's up. Again, it's a system, it's kind of just running in the background up until you try to put a load on it, and that load is crushed in, and we are novices at running. There are no Google execs or Apple people here that are building something for us to run. We're infants. Some of the things we put online are better in a folder in your desk, but until I'm not sure we'll ever beat that spot. And so bandwidth is important. Bandwidth computers. Hey, look, I got tons of computers that no one signs for. We buy, right? So we get caught up in these buy pieces. And so, and it's 9 out of 10 times, it's not the technology. Computers got the fastest CPU you can buy in them. It is our bandwidth connection to the spot, right? And so, I am comfortable articulating that message and or spending money to increase access. It goes back to what both of you guys are saying, which is, hey, I gotta have more time to do my job, to walk around and be engaged and check things and think, right? How much time do you get during the day, or do you allocate during the day just to think about where you should be going and what's next, instead of just trying to knock out today's to-do list? If you don't have time.
Drive home or drive.
Yeah, drive home, drive in, right, which is good, and at night, whatever, take a shower, whatever you're doing, but during the time too, you gotta have, during the day, you gotta be thinking about, it's part of your job, isn't it? What am I doing next, where are we going? All right, Colonel Dwyer.
No, sir, I just want to hear from these guys. I'm just absorbed with this. We talked a lot this morning about some of the same things as far as change is coming and, drive it to the best we can and absorb what comes at us and just make the best of it.
Okay, what else? Anybody? Before I let you go. Okay, hey, 780 people. This is us, it's our team. Hey, the phenomenal success, along the way, right? ACOE, 7-time winner, it's flashing on your sign when you come in here. They canceled that program. FY20 will be dormant. FY21, according to John Becker and the leadership, will be a new award. It'll be the SYNC award. It's going to be the Commander-in-Chief award, is what they'll call it. That's FY21. It won't be based on Baldur's principles. It won't be the same thing that the ACOE will measure on. And they have not described yet the requirements for how to win that award. What I would tell you is, much like General Eisenhower said, there's some phenomenal talent in here now. Some will be here in a couple of years, some are here. But that's not the problem we have, right? It's about what we're doing today to make sure we're phenomenal in 2 years, in 3 years, in 4 years. And so my challenge to you is, to be the last winner of the ACOE, and in FY21 to be the first winner of the SYNC award. The only feasible strategy I see sitting here right now with a program that is ill-defined and not registered is, hey, we're going to make this easy for the Chief of Staff of the Army, right? Commander-in-Chief, right? The Commander-in-Chief. We're going to make it easy. At your director, at your division, at your business, there are already existing awards. Some of those are Army-level awards, some of those are MCOM-level awards. And the guaranteed win is, hey, our packet, when we send it up for FY21, is just going to show Fort Stewart winning about every other individual award that's out there at every director and division level, right? So my challenge to you now is start looking at the awards that are inside your directorate that are run by MDEPs and compete for them. Start thinking about your packets, because the win will be easy to sync. We're just going to take a copy of every award we won in FY20 across all our directors and say, and the decision's done, right? I mean, here's all the awards across the entire team. Obviously, that's got to be the best. What are your questions? I think that gives us a sense of purpose as an organization. It should drive our organization. And that goal can change, but that's about as clear of strategies I can lay out to win an award that can be described, and I'm confident it is resonant in this team. So I appreciate your time, and hopefully I can keep you up after your bellies were full from the lunch at ACOE. But I appreciate what you do every day for our soldiers and families, and I appreciate more than ever, right? At the end of 2 years, I appreciate more than ever the level of professionalism and expertise that sits around this table and inside our garrison, right? It is hard, it is unreplicatable, and it is sometimes undocumented or unthanked. But hey, thank you very much for what you do. Have a great day.